She beat me to it. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get started because I want to respect everyone's time. So I appreciate you all jumping on today. So Morgan and I, Amber, we're sitting there. We meet quite often. Just kind of telling you how we led up to this. So we meet quite often and we look at our numbers pretty frequently. So we look at our trends to see how our office is doing, how the market's doing. And, the reality is this conversation of shift, I know I'm a little far from the camera, guys, but I have a shift book in my hand that I'll be reading from today. Has been a topic of conversation for the last 2 years and it's come up quite often. If you think about when COVID started really impacting here, Southwest Florida, things started shutting down, a lot of deals actually were falling out of contract. This is a big conversation and it's a big conversation again. So we clearly saw an opportunity for our agency. The thing is, when agents is in the business, they're either on a team or they're out on their own, building their own team and building their own business. And when you're on a team, the great thing is you have a rainmaker, a CEO team that's coaching, training you. They're doing a lot of lead generation and bringing leads in leads to the teams. And yet we have a lot of other agents that are not on the team that also need to make sure that they have the right tactics to survive the shift, and not only to survive the shift, but also thrive. So I will tell you up front, and it even says it in the book, ironically, there is nothing in this book that is over the world, like brand new, like, oh my God, I've never heard that. Everything is going to be simple concepts that we generally tend to forget when things are great. And then when a market shifts, it starts to magnify our opportunities. Would you guys agree to that? When things are going great, you kind of just tend to coast. More deals just solve most of your problems. And yet when there's less deals and things are not as great, we start to see more of the holes and the gaps in your business. So let me ask you, so unmute, turn cameras on. Who has read Shift before, or is this the first time? No judgment. Anyone read it before? All right, so we got a couple folks that have not read it, and that's okay. You're in the right place. Because I was talking to Morgan, we were looking at it. So roughly speaking, to get this book at a pace that allows us to really engage and discuss it, it'll be about 2 months. It'll be this month and next month. We'll cover principles every single Wednesday. Morgan, I believe, is in a meeting right now, so she's not going to join me today's discussion. And vice versa. If there's a week that I can attend, Morgan will lead it. And yeah, we're going to start from the beginning and work our way through all the tactics that are in the book. I see a few more folks jumping on. Dina, have you read Shift before? Anyone else jumped on? Has anyone on the call read Shift before?
I'm sorry, Jordan, what was that question?
Have you read the book Shift before? I had asked a second ago to the group to see who's read the book already.
Okay, no, sorry, I have not read it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you all. I want to make sure that Wednesdays when we meet here at 1:30, whether it's in here or the Naples training room on Zoom, what do you want to get out of coming here on Wednesdays for an hour? What's up, buddy?
Am I too late?
We're just starting the shift series. Yeah. So what do you? I need you to hear. I need something from you guys. I need everybody on mute. Tell me what you want to get out of the shift series. Everybody on mute. Tell me something. What do you want to get out of going through this with me?
Being able to hear other people's point of views and their aha moments, because they might have seen it or heard something that the rest of us didn't hear, and then it makes sense to us.
All right. So the different point of views learned from others. Perfect. Thank you. What else?
Having just walked in, but seeing how things are changing in the past, when this worked, and how we get ahead of this again, because it's coming again.
Yep. So what's worked in the past? What else?
Building off of what he just said, just being able to pivot as the market changes.
Okay. Pivot with the market. Anyone else? One more. Taylor, I see you smiling because you think I'm going to pick on you next. Taylor's trying to hide from the camera. What are you hoping to get out of an hour with us every Wednesday? Talking about shift.
You know, Jordan, I don't have anything specific, but I just know that every time I'm in any class. There's always some little nugget, either whether I know it at the time, I pick up something that benefits me later on. Just knowledge. You can never learn too much.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know what, you bring up a good point about education, knowledge, and classes. A lot of times they get into the production, they're doing great, and they stop going to trainings, they stop going to classes, they think, I'm good, I don't need anything else. And yet our business and our mindset's in a different place every single time. So we really need to, stay being a sponge and always be learning. Joanne, were you gonna say something? I saw your hand up.
I'm just excited to learn the new strategies, because I know that the market is shifting, and being a new agent, to put more tools in my tool belt.
All right. You don't have the book, actually, right? No. Okay. So I'm going to be reading a ton off the book. I don't know how many of you on the call physically have the book in front of you. If you don't right now, it's okay. I'm going to give you page numbers of everything that I'm reading from the book, so that you can go purchase the book on Amazon or Keller Inc. I think it's the best two ways to order it. I order mine on Amazon. So you can order one, physically have it on, you highlight it, and definitely highlight the key areas that I'm talking about today. Just for anybody who jumped on the call now, and we're up there in the beginning when I said that as we go through this, there's not going to be anything in here that is like brand new 2022, like new ideas. It's all principles and tactics that work in all markets. It's just that sometimes we forget about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. So on page 7, I'm going to start reading from there. It says shift happen, right? You can almost say something else. Happen. So shift happens, and at the top it says, real estate is a cyclical business. What goes up must come down, and what is down won't stay there. Shifts are never unexpected, but rarely predictable. You know when it's coming, you just don't know when they are, or when, and they are in fact inevitable. Shifts happen. Then it says here, it's like we have amnesia, and that's odd. We deal with something similar every year. It's called seasonality. 8% forget the market's always shifting. They're going great, they kind of forget about it, and it's great that they talk about seasonality, because as agents, a lot of us that have already been in business a couple of years, and I don't personally like to use this word in the business, and yet, do we see seasonality in our business here in South Florida? There is, right? So, and most, say it again? Always. It truly always is, and we tend to feel it around April when it starts to die down a little bit, right? And yet the key thing about the seasonality thing is that agents are already accustomed, those that have been in Southwest Florida, they're used to going maybe a couple of months and things a little bit slower. They're used to going a couple of months where they go all in and all they're just hustling, working every single day, because they know it's going to get a little bit slower later, so they plan their vacations around that. The market shift is no different. This is now over a longer period of time. So the tactics are really designed, the tactics, if you think about it, they come from those short windows and what the best agents do to stay in front. When you go to page 8, it starts to say here, the fact is every year real estate agents have to deal with the seasonal sales cycle and its impact on their cash flow. While seasonal cycles occur within a single year, economic shifts happen over several years. So let's talk about the anatomy of the shift. So first, I'd like to ask a question, and how do you guys define to your buyers and sellers a buyer's market versus a seller's market? Who wants to take a shot at this one?
It's inventory. What's the if the inventory is either plentiful, then or if it's like it's been where the inventory has been very low, that's your seller's market.
Okay. Do you know how much inventory would be considered let's say a buyer's market? Anyone want to take a guess at that? Any low inventory. Let's take buyer's market. Yeah, buyer's market. How many months of inventory?
7.
6 to 8. All right, that's 6, 8. I got 7. Anyone else? Okay, write it down. Write it down. Over 7 months, you're in the buyer's market. It's a good baseline for us. Over 7 months. Now, what would we consider a seller's market? Who wants to take a guess at some numbers there? seller's market?
Anything below 2 is great.
Okay, so below 2 and 3 for sure, yeah. Any other
Anything
numbers
under-
you,
Anything under 6, I would imagine.
okay, under 6, yeah, yeah. So write this down. Under 5, let's just call it under 4 and under would be your seller's market. Anyone tracking the market obviously knows that that's where we've been living right now, is a seller's market. So what does that mean? That 5, 6 months is what we would consider your stable market. So just to recap, because I need to make sure you guys all know that. And here's the thing, when you're meeting with buyers and sellers, I'll tell you that one of the things as far as when you're doing your listing presentation, your buyer consultation, is you should be talking about the market that we're in. We're in buyer's market, seller's market, because of how the consumer you're meeting with interprets that, it will help you in your conversation. So I'll ask people, well, what kind of market, have you ever heard the term buyer's market, seller's market? Yeah, I've heard that. What market are we in? And I ask what market we're in right now. It's just to see where they're at. And then they may know it and they may not know it. Either way, I now educate them on what they mean. So as we go into the stats about the market, I can say, hey, yeah, we were in a seller's market. We were 1 month of inventory. Now we're at 4 months of inventory. Is it going up, or is it the same, or is it not changing, right? So that'll help you with that dialogue. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that. So in the books, if you want to write this down on page 9, it does go into that a little bit further for you. It'll go into what's called the anatomy of a shift. Then on page 10, I wanted to read this part for you. It says the misleading aspect of an economic shift is that it seems relatively natural and gradual when looked at nationally. When experienced locally, it is usually dramatic and fast. What do you guys hear there?
Definitely a truism.
Say it again?
Definitely a truism.
A truism? Yeah. You guys agree with that? Disagree? What do you think? When experienced locally, it is usually dramatic and fast. Anyone experiencing that right now?
Yeah, it becomes a trend very quick, especially in a market like this where when they're selling, they're getting more money. And then you have the influx of people moving to Florida. That was also a trend that happened after COVID.
Yeah, and we definitely felt that increase. And in the conversations I've been a part of in the last couple of weeks, probably a good 2 months, maybe even going on 3 months now, the market at a high level is still good, right? It's still a seller's market, and yet the conversations that we're having at a local level with our agents is a little bit different. It's telling a little bit of a different story, even here in Southwest Florida. Homes not going as fast, not as, maybe still getting multiple offers, but not as many over list price offers as before, a little bit more price reductions. So we're all starting to see that too here as well. So again, that was on page 10. So just keep that in mind. The next thing it talks about in here before we get into actual tactics is the national perspective rarely, if ever, matches the local experience. And it has this image, and I won't even try to draw it for you because I'll butcher it. But on page 11, it's in there, and it says local market transitions don't last long. And then it's like a pendulum, and it has seller's market on one side, buyer's market on the other side. It's a nice visual because as you see the pendulum going towards the seller's market and going, and think about the action of this that I'm making here. As the pendulum's going up, what does that eventually do right here? What does it do?
It loses momentum and
Starts coming back down. And then when it comes back down, what happens is it picks up speed. Keep that visual in mind. So I truly feel this. And here's the thing, guys. I still get calls for listings. I still get listing opportunities. And the conversations that I'm having with the sellers are these conversations around the market. And here's what I'll tell you. I feel it even. Listings that I think will go like that for way more, they're not. They're not. So the pendulum has kind of reached that top. We don't know for sure. Is that condo association at the top? Is the X neighborhood? You know, we don't know that. That's the part we don't know. And yet, as a whole, we are seeing that slowdown. So just keep in mind that as we start the pendulum going back towards the buyer's market, it's going to pick up speed and it's going to go rather quickly. This is interesting. This book, remember, this was written before the previous shift. So let me read this to you. It says, several factors can cause an economic shift. Currency exchange rates and political climate are the primary global factors. On a national level, it's interest rates and inflation. Population, jobs, and household income take center stage at the city level. And at the most local level, it's neighborhood dynamics and housing prices. All of this simply boils down to buyer demand, which is driven by affordability and perception. How many buyers can afford to buy, and how many think it's a good time to buy? I don't like to get into like politics or anything like that, so I'm not going to get into that. And yet we are hearing, I've heard things on politics, I've heard things on what's happening in the world. I've definitely hear a lot more right now around interest rates and inflation. Are you hearing all that? Yeah. So it's funny that this book was written a long time ago, and it applies right now. Go ahead, Wayne.
There's two inflation rates that you gotta worry about, or two interest rates that you worry about. Number one, the main number that the federal Fed start.
Yeah.
That's one interest rate, but the mortgage rates, they're really starting to move right now. I mean, we were at 2.5, and now all of a sudden we're at 4 and 5.
Yeah.
That starts hurting the buying power.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting you bring that up, and I want to hear from anybody in the call that's facing anything right now or with buyers that relates to their qualifying. I had a customer that bought a home before I even took this role back in September, and I just closed on it maybe like a month before September, and was barely like at the cusp qualifying, like for the price point she was at, with the rate the way it was at that time. She got a really good rate at that moment in time. She calls that she wants to sell the property, and naturally you want to say, woo, yeah, let's go do it. She wants to move up in size, and you know, it's another listing opportunity. And again, this just goes back to knowing what's going on. I knew that situation of what her ability to qualify back then. She's telling me here now she wants to buy a bigger home. I know the prices can go backwards. I know the rates went up. I know she was barely qualifying at that particular time. So there's a high probability that the rate may change where she's at today. So I said, hey, listen, Jen, that's awesome. And listen, I want to make sure we did the right thing. Things have changed. The market has shifted. Let's do this. Let's talk to your lender first. Same lender that she used before. Let's have a conversation around what your qualifying amount will be today. And then from there, we'll determine what the next best move is. She's still doing that right now, but there's a high probability that once she gets that pre-approval letter, it's going to not be the number she was wanting and hoping for. That's going to allow her to buy the bigger home that she wanted. Or she might have to move outside of her desired area to get the price point bang to the buck that she wants. Anyone experiencing this? Joanne, are you raising your hand? I'm not sure. Or are you looking at your nails? You're looking at your nails. Anyone experiencing anything like this right now with their buyers? Where maybe they're now not qualifying due to the rates? Anyone?
Good thing in this market that we get a lot of cash buyers.
Yeah. Yeah, we are seeing a ton of that still. Yeah. All right. We're going to hit one more item before we go to the first tactic. So on page 13, so the law of equilibrium, equilibrium, can't read right now. So it's on page 13, and it says, the law states that the available income in a market determines the number of agents in that market. Let me read that again. The law states that the available income in a market determines the number of agents in that market. As the number of transactions rises, so does the number of agents. So think about that for a moment. When the market's hot, lots, good activity happens, homes are selling quick. Did we see agents start going into the business? We did. Conversely, when the number of available transactions starts to fall, so does the number of agents. People are attracted to the industry by the perceived income opportunity and driven out by the reality of competition for it. Who's seeing this in the market right now with agents? You tell me. Are you seeing this? Yeah, look at the room. There's nobody in this room right now.
Well, not nobody.
Well, I mean, there's empty seats. No. Sorry. Thank you for, get up here to the camera. It'd be like, we gotta fill it. Yeah, how many seats are in this room and they're empty? Zoom's unlimited. We can have as many people on the Zoom account. I'm pretty sure it's not limited. How many have chosen to work on themselves and their business? There's 11 people right now on Zoom, and take away myself, I don't count, that's 10. Take away Patricia, that's 9. 9, 10, 11 agents have made the decision to work on themselves, their business, and get better so they can survive and thrive through this market. So what I ask of you all, because you guys know the 80-20 principle, right? I remember in real estate school when I first took it, it was like, okay, here's the X amount of students, 20% of them were going to graduate class. Patricia, well, we have the recording, so we know who's all here. I want to see, are you going to, in 2 months from now, are you going to be here with me, learning and growing with me every single week still?
Absolutely.
When you do, yes, Dina, thank you. When you do, you will survive and thrive. When you don't, you're one of these empty seats. All right. It says here on page 14, there is a market shift and its lag time. Then there's your shift and your lag time. What do you hear? There's the market shift and its lag time, and then there's your shift and your lag time.
Basically comes down to how hard you're gonna work, how often you're gonna work, how much you're gonna put into it on your end.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right after that, it says if you don't shift fast, your lag time will parallel the market and you may be at risk. To thrive in the upshift, you must first survive the downshift. Here's the truth, and really listen to this one. Not everyone will, but anyone can. Not everyone will, but anyone can. All right. Before I get into the, actually, you know what? There's one more piece I want to hit on here. Eventually, I'm gonna have to make a PowerPoint for this because it'd be cool to really show you guys all this graphic here. When you guys get the opportunity, I think if you even Google this, you'll probably find a chart online. But on page 15 and 16, definitely want you to look into that when we're done. Let me see if time allows me to. Do you guys mind if I try to draw? Would that be helpful? Zoom, can you see the back wall? Okay.
It's pretty small.
Let me try. If it doesn't, let me try. If I fail, don't judge me. I failed and it didn't work. Yeah, go ahead. Let me try something here. Here's what happens when you show up and you adjust, you pivot with the market, you put in the work and you implement and you work on the fact. So this is illustrated. You can see it somewhat or no? Somebody on mute.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, these are this
We-
is the graph.
We just can't see like the very, very top of the ones on the left is all.
So this is a graph of showing the market share. So I got 3 bars here. It's showing the market at the top and the market working its way down. So it's showing that at the top of the market, this agent, if you look at their market share, they have a consistent market share. At the top of the market, they have 20% market share. As the market starts to shift down, and they put in the work, the resilience factor, their market share starts to grow because they're putting in the work, they're doubling down. So now their market share went from 20% at the height, market went down, but they're still putting in the work, so their market share went up. Now they got more business, 35% of the market share. Market keeps going down, but they stay consistent. Now they own 50% of the market share. Right? Now, what happens is the opposite. What happens if this agent maintains their 50% market share? What happens when the market starts going up and now they maintain the same habits that got them there?
It's the reverse of what you got right there.
the reverse. And what happens here though? Does this go down? What happens if they just maintain 50%? Does their income go up?
Their income should go up, but.
Yeah, no, definitely not guaranteed. Here's what we see here. When the market starts to now shift back the other direction and they maintain the market share, it's a higher market. So as long as they maintain the market share, that means there's more volume, more units, it's more gross commission income. You want to be that agent that survives, gets to the high market share as the market goes down and as it goes up, and maintain it. That illustration, which is not the greatest here for it, but you can find it in the book it's on page 15 and on page 16, that illustration. Your market share will explode when you can maintain it and grow it in a shifting market, in a down market like the one we're going to go into. Keep that in mind. I want to read this because I've already said it out loud, but I want to read it from Gary Keller's words. It says, our research, this is before I get into tactic 1, our research has identified the 12 tactics you must deploy. These issues aren't special, unique, or new. They're the basic components of any successful real estate career, and when business gets tight, they become the critical factors that determine the difference between success or failure. So who's ready to respond to the shifting market? Come on, raise hand, say aye, say hello, I'm here, I'm winning.
Aye.
There we go. Oh man, so hold on a second. I already lost somebody on Zoom. Bummer. Is the 80-20 principle well alive? Nobody?
Maybe whoever it was had an appointment to go to.
Hey,
Hopefully
maybe.
it's still working. Let's stay
Yeah,
positive.
if they're taking market share, I don't care. All right, there's 12 tactics, and we're gonna cover 1 and 2 and just have some dialogue. So what I encourage everyone to do as we move forward, get the book. It will definitely help, because as we're having these conversations, Morgan and I, with you, you can share some of the things that you're taking from the book and what you're seeing, because one of the takeaways you guys said, find nuggets to benefit, learn knowledge, and then Melissa, I think, said point of view, learn from other. That was you, Melissa, right? I said that? Somebody said it. All right, so let's get into tactic number 1. It says, get real, get right. All around, this is about mindset and action. It says here, decide what your priorities are and how much time you'll spend. If you don't, someone else will. So decide what your priorities are and how much time you'll spend. If you don't, someone else will. It says here, first we make choices and our choices make us. The 12 issues you face in a shifting market are really an opportunity to make the 12 most important choices that will directly impact your career and power you through any shift. Don't let yourself panic. Keep fear at bay. This is really just a mental shift and an action shift. Mental shift and action shift. Were you guys both in business when COVID first hit us in 2020, March? No, you weren't in it. Wayne, you were in business, right? Yeah. Anyone else here on the call in business March 2020?
Yes.
When COVID started to shift? Dina, can you just talk to the group? What were you feeling, thinking? What was your mindset when that impacted us here in Southwest Florida?
Well, for me, it was, I really wasn't sure, like everybody, what to think, but for me, the timing was kind of extra bad, I guess, because I was a brand new agent, basically in October. So I had really just started my career and had started doing open houses, and then the holidays came. So I kind of, was busy. And then, January came and got back to getting busy with open houses. And then all of a sudden March came along and I had to cancel all of that. And so that really hurt, because getting started, I feel like open houses are really a huge way to start your customer base. And my sphere here on the island is really all my realtor friends, so I can't really go for my sphere. So it really affected me. But, I just learned that I had to work a lot harder to find the business elsewhere, because I couldn't do the open houses. So in a way, it was actually kind of a good thing.
Yeah, well, it forced you, to fish in another pond, if you will.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else want to chime in? Wayne?
The women start working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, Wayne, if you guys can't hear, working smarter, not harder. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I was scared that first couple of weeks. At first, I was excited. I was like, I don't have to go to the office. And then, my daughter's at home with me, so we're just relaxing. So it was okay. Well, this is gonna happen for a week. Then 2 weeks goes by.
Yeah.
Then a month went by. Then I'm having to school her from home. I have to keep up with my business. There's all these calls happening. There's all this fear around social media, this, or friends and family are saying that. And I'll tell you, so my maps coach at that particular time was really the one that helped me with my mindset, because my mindset was thinking in scarcity. I was scared. I was worried. Luckily, the people around me, the culture around us is what really helped me get right back into the right mindset. So I tell you that in a shifting market, what I would conclude is, who's your tribe? And do you know who your tribe is, and what are you doing to stay connected with them? Because they're the ones that are going to help you through this. If I would have stayed in my condo, I was living in a condo off Davis at the time. It was just me and my daughter. If I would have just stayed in my condo with nobody around, nobody talking to me, not feeding my mind with the right things, would have been no good for Jordas. Go ahead.
The thing is, it becomes very comfortable at times.
Becomes comfortable?
Get out of your own comfort zone in order to make a change.
What are you referring to? Like, meaning I could have gotten comfortable at sitting at home and thinking there.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
Your own relationship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you think about it, if you don't have a coach, like if you didn't have a coach at that particular time, most market centers did a great job at starting to do morning calls. Those that know James Shaw, he started with his morning pivot calls, so that agents can plug in and be around the right community to help them. Because if not, you could have been in complete scarcity, just scared at home, not motivated to work on yourself. It says here on page 24, to survive a shift, you must first make the mental shift to run towards what you most want and avoid the temptation of running away from what you most fear. Is that resonating with anyone? Yeah, say that louder so they can hear you. That was a good one.
Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah. You can't control the market, but you can control your outlook and your response to the market. Are we in agreement? Can we control what's happening in the market? No.
No.
Okay.
You can put your input into it. You can motivate.
Yeah. On page 25, I highlighted this because it really stands out to me. It says, and my boaters will get this, or anyone that understands tide. Most people lead a flow with the tide life. Their careers and their fortunes seem to rise and fall with the tides of the market. I'm gonna stop there for a second because it's funny. I'm seeing it right now in this last 12 months. Not necessarily people here, just people in different industries that are rocking it during COVID times. And I see them buying, believe it or not, planes, hot exotic luxury cars, the bigger homes. And some of these folks are folks that I knew close enough to understand their financial position. And they're just, their income grew, so is their lifestyle. Anyone seeing that around them? Yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny, I laugh because I got rid of my Tesla in the market. I was like, you know what? I went back. I was like, no, so I got myself a fuel efficient Honda Accord. That's what I did. So it's funny because I have some friends that I've not seen there like in the last few months. I had one buddy that I just caught up with the other day. He's like, oh, look for the Tesla out there. Like, yeah, dude, I got rid of that a little while back now. That's me shifting with the market, right? but others are going in the opposite direction. Now it says, when things are going well, anything and everything works, their boats float. When things are going well, anything and everything works, their boats float. What they fail to realize is that literally all boats float at high tide, and no captain gets credit for that. Man, I just thought about this. I have a boat and I take it out, and I'm over here thinking I'm a great captain. I gotta get into some tougher situations to see if I'm a great captain or not. Because right now, tide makes you look like a great captain. When times get tough, the tide goes out, all of a sudden, not everything works. Their boats don't float. Those quick to adjust will have a floating boat on the rocks or out at sea. The choice is yours. Mary, did you want to say something? I saw you come up on screen.
No, you're good.
All right. What do you guys hear in this? I kind of alluded to this point a little bit earlier, but what do you guys hear as I go through that paragraph?
It's kind of like, look ahead, be prepared, times might be good right now. Don't extend your lifestyle based on the temporary cycle.
Yeah, of course.
Just like you did. Be ready to make change. Tesla's a great drive, but I got to look ahead.
Yeah.
I want to be prepared. I want to be out of that.
Yeah.
I see that in some of the restaurants around here, when times are good, they're out buying things and not putting away for when things
A rainy day.
are low. And we see a lot of change in restaurants around here all the time that they're on top
Yeah.
for 6 months and then they're on the bottom because they forgot to put away for the rainy day.
Yeah. This gets me thinking about a lot of different things, but I think the main thing it highlights here, when the market's good and things are great, homes are selling fast, and you don't have to work super hard for it, everyone looks like a rock star. It's like going back to and this is not bashing on anyone, by the way. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, like, for example, I would see like social media posts like, oh, just listed this house, 20 offers in the first 3 hours, and we're like celebrating it. I'm not saying don't celebrate your wins, guys. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we're celebrating like you did something. The tide is high. The tide is high. Now that the tide's getting low, this is where you have the opportunity to show your real work for real value now. Dina, what do you hear when we talk about that? You got a little bit of time on your go.
I'm sorry, say that again?
What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any input on it you want to share with the group on that, just that concept of when the tide's high, things are great, all boats float, agents are selling, they're rocking it, but then when things shift, I think what it does is it magnifies the opportunities. I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to share with the group.
I guess not anything particularly, but I just know that, obviously the shift is coming and we have to prepare for it. And so I'm thinking, in my own self, it's really time for me to start doing the things that I don't really like to do, which is making those phone calls to my past people in my database and just seeing where they are, because we don't really know their situation. And if I don't make the calls, I can tell you with a shift coming, I'm not just going to be getting calls out of the blue. So I guess that's, if I'm going to be prepared, I have to do the work so that I am going to survive through the shift.
Yeah. What you just said reminded me of something. Have you ever heard, this is how I say it, there's agents out there that are transactional, and then there's agents out there that are relationship based.
Oh, yeah.
I see a lot of transactional agents, meaning let's get the deal on and just go over with and move on to go find and hunt down the next one. And there's others that are nurturing their people, and then they get repeat referral based business out of that.
Mhm.
I think the agents in these last 2 years that were transactional agents that were 2, 3, 4 years ago, and just in general, and they're hitting their time, before the shift, killing it. Just finding the next transaction. They were finding it transaction after transaction, and the market shifts on them. whether, you know, being at the point making the calls or the things they don't want to do, when they weren't able to find the business as easily. What do you think happened?
Yeah, obviously they don't have anything. If you're not staying in touch with your database, you know,
Definitely.
honestly, you know, several of my, I don't have a ton of deals under transactions under my belt, you know, but several of what I do have has been referrals or a repeat customer. So it's very important to stay in touch with everybody, you know, even people in the very beginning at open house that I did, you know, I stay in touch. They haven't bought yet. It's been almost 3 years now, but you know, I still stay in touch, and you never know when that time is right for them.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta stay in contact with the people that did buy it from you,
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Don't let them just.
Don't let them just go away, and yeah, and those that are thriving in the shipping markets because of those past relationships that they're winning. I think overall, to kind of wrap up, put a bow on this part, is that it amplifies, or magnifies your opportunities in your business. It points out where you have broken systems and processes in your business. And in this case, we're talking about broken processes relates to building a relationship with their database, lead generating their database. So, very good. So we talked about mindset first. Now let's talk about action shift. Once you've gotten real, you've got to get right into action and into the right action. When the market shifts, new strategies are required and new actions are critical. I'm going to repeat that again, and then hear me out, because what worked for the last 12 months, 24 months may not work anymore. When the market shifts, new strategies are required and new actions are critical. And the next line right after that says, efficiency and effectiveness are essential contributors to your bottom line. And this made me think about two topics that we tend to talk quite a bit around, and it's time blocking and the tool that we call the 411. Who knows what the 411 is? You know what 411 is?
I heard it, I cannot place.
It's okay, we'll talk about it.
Can't find it.
I got you, don't worry. Online, anyone know what the 411 is? What am I referring to? Taylor's hiding again. So let's think through this here. So I'm going to explain what the 411 is here. I bring this up and I slow down here. So again, efficiency and effectiveness are essential contributors to your bottom line. I think about time blocking in general. Have you guys, for the most part, heard the term time blocking? What do you interpret that to be?
When you say, hey, from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Perfect.
every day, that's when I'm reaching out to all my customers. I'm going through my list.
Yeah.
I'm making my calls.
Absolutely. You're prospecting. It's having a structured schedule. I will tell you that I can look at an agent's calendar and tell you if they're making money or not. Here's one thing that BOLD, the Program Business Objective Life by Design, teaches us, that if it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. So can you look at your schedule right now and say, that's a winning schedule? That is a schedule that's very heavy on the 5 jobs of the real estate agent, which I'll talk about here in a second if you don't know what they are. Is it heavy on the 5 jobs of the real estate agent, and is it consistent? Here's what good time blocking is not. It's not setting up a dentist appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning. Then you finish at 10 o'clock and like, oh, you know what, I got to run a quick errand. You know, I'll leave generator at 11. Oh, you know, this came up. Now I got to go do this. You know what, I'll do it later. Never gets done. And then it gets pushed off the next day. And then that keeps happening over and over and over again. And we tell ourselves, it's all right, I got 2 deals in the pipeline, we're good. Then those deals dry up, and you got nothing. You got no pendings going. And what do we know? I mean, and let's take aside the fact that there's a lot of cash deals and they generally close quicker. All that aside, what do we know? Homes are going to start to take a little bit longer to sell. Generally speaking, if financed, we're looking at 30 to 45 days out. So you could be looking at 2 to 3 months, sometimes even more. I remember times where there was one house that took me over a year to sell a few years ago. Not even a few years ago, 2019, it took, or 18. That house took me a little bit over a year to sell, right here across from Keller Creek. So what do we know? That if I don't lead generate today, if I don't have a time block scheduled today that's structured around the 5 jobs of the real estate agent, in 90 days, what am I not doing? Not getting paid. Who wants to take a hack at what the 5 jobs of the real estate agent are? What are the 5 things that should be on your calendar, time block?
Well, one of them is lead gen.
Perfect. Thank you, Dina. Yeah, lead generating. What's next? That's the first part. What's the second job of the real estate agent?
Knowing your numbers, watching your
Role
market.
play, scripts and role play.
Yeah, so I heard, so script and role play and knowing your numbers. Now, that's not one of the jobs, and yet we'll talk about how the 401 does help you with that. So, all right, I'm gonna give them to you. Write them down if you don't know them, because you need to know this. You need to know that these are the 5 jobs as a real estate agent. If you look at your calendar right now and you're not doing these 5 things, I can guarantee you, you might be making money, but as the market shifts, that's not going to continue working for you. Lead generation is the first one. Now, keep in mind, lead generation doesn't necessarily mean go cold call, go door knock. It's whatever lead generation is for you. For a lot of agents out there, like I love Ludwig, Michael, I mean, it's going on the boat. He lead generates on the boat. So in his situation, if I see him in the office all the time, I'm like, that's not good. He makes his money on the boat. For people, I've seen agents out there that it's community events, it's networking events. So if I don't see them at these events, I'm like, well, what are you doing? That's how you find your business. I think we're privileged. I think we have, like, it's amazing. We're blessed that we can do a lot of the fun things that we can do with our customers in our sphere and get business from it. Like, it's kind of insane that I can go to my daughter's softball game, meet a parent, connect with a parent, and all of a sudden we're selling their house. That's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Lead generation, lead follow-up, go on appointments. Number 3, go on appointments. Number 4, who wants to take a guess? Number 4, negotiate contracts.
Contract.
Yeah, there you go. Negotiate the contract. And then the last one, to Joanne's point, script practice and role play. You should be able to look at your calendar Monday through Friday and see all 5 of those activities in your calendar. Anything else outside of those 5 activities either needs to be done by someone else, or you need to schedule it on the weekends or on the evenings. Now, granted, do I know there's some appointments that have to happen during the day? Absolutely. Like, if you got a doctor's appointment or something you can't do evenings, I get that. However, can you do those in the afternoons? Does it have to be 9 o'clock every day? Now, there might be some unique ones. Take all those isolated issues and put them in the garbage. I know there's those situations, and we're human, we're gonna understand those. But for the most part, if my dentist calls me right now, I have options. It doesn't have to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't have to be. That's a choice I make, and the choice makes you, and it's not gonna make a good outcome for you. 401, so let's talk about that. So once you have the perfect schedule lined up, the 411, it is a tool where you can map out. Patricia, if you can please, for everybody that's on this call, send them an electronic version of the 411. You and I have a call later, so if you don't have if you can't find a copy of it, let me know and I'll give it to you when we get on our call later. I'll make sure you guys all have that template. Max out your yearly goal. So what's one of the ones? Monthly. So then you break it down monthly, and then the 4 is the weekly, the 4 weeks in the month. And the beautiful thing about this tool, as it relates to agents and how they utilize it, is tracking their numbers. So, for example, and if I'm speaking a foreign language right now, just let me know in the chat box, hey, we need a class on that, so that I know, that way it's no longer foreign. But the economic model in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, so the other book, not this one, the red book, MREA for short, Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, it talks about the economic model in that book. And what the economic model ultimately does is it says, I want to make this much money, and all the way down at the bottom, it's going to tell me how many appointments I need to be going on every single month to get that. That goes into my 411. So let's say my number is 10 appointments. I need to go on 10 qualified appointments a month. That's roughly 2-3 appointments a week. So my goal for week 1 is 3 appointments. Let's just round up. At the end of week 1, I either hit that number or I did not. Right? Pretty straightforward. If I did not hit that number, let's just call it 3. What happens in week 2? What does it need to be now? 6. What agents don't do is they don't track that. They say, okay, well, yeah, I didn't get an appointment this week. No big deal. And they move on. You got to know your numbers. It is a big deal. Every call you do or don't make is you falling short of your goal. So it's no surprise when 2-3 months goes by and there's no money and the agent's like, oh, I need the deal. Well, let's look at your calendar. Did you lead generate? And let's look at your 411. What were the activities you were tracking every single week? Well, I can tell you your problem is right there. First off, you don't even have a number. So do you even know how many appointments you need to go on to make the money that you need to make? So sorry for my soapbox there. I had to slow down on that particular one. Don't laugh at me. Right there on the same page. And before I get into tactic number 2, let me look at my time here and make sure. Ooh, time goes fast when you're having fun. So I'll go quick here to wrap up chapter 1 or tactic 1. It says our research shows that the 2 actions real estate agents must take personal ownership of are lead generation and lead conversion. You own that. So if you're on a team, building a team, wherever you're at in the world, you are in charge of lead generation. You cannot do that to someone else, not in a shifting market. And the reasons are, first, you get immediate and ongoing sense of the issues of the market. So you get to hear the objections the buyers and sellers are giving you. And then second, you will get an honest understanding of the conversion rates that are possible. So you get a better understanding of the conversion rates that are possible. Let's see if there's anything else on this page. No, nothing else on tactic number 1. Let me ask you guys, I don't want to rush tactics. I really don't want to rush anything. What are your thoughts? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to field questions because I don't want things rushed. And then next week, we're going to go into tactic number 2 and number 3. So that gives you guys also time to get the book if you have. So tactic number 2 and 3, we'll do some next week. Let's open it up. Let's just have a general discussion. What questions do you have?
Actually,
wanted my hepatitis C
George,
done.
hang on one second.
I
So
failed
my
3
computer went out. Okay. Actually, I'm glad that we're doing this because it just popped up that the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates by 0.5 point for the first time in 2 decades. And that just came on the news, Fox News. So I think that it's definitely going to help us. It's going to help the new agents and to really understand where we have to go to start driving business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask this question to the group, and it's not to be negative, but tell me or share with the group, what are the limiting beliefs as agents that maybe you may have? This is a safe room, by the way, so there's no judgment. Is there 1 or 2 limiting beliefs that you have right now that maybe we can help you with specifically?
George, I don't know if I would consider mine such a limiting belief, but it's a limited experience because I was in real estate from 06 to 09. I was in another career, and I failed when everything got really, really bad.
Okay.
So my question is, what did the people do? Maybe that's my question I put up there. How did the successful agents adapt? Last time was a really tough cycle. Those are the things I want to know.
Everything we're literally going to read in the book
Right.
is it. And there's nothing, like I said, there's
Why
nothing
I
in here.
came in.
There's nothing in here that's going to be sexy and like brand new 2022. Like, oh my God, it's like 2030 stuff.
Right. I didn't
Yeah.
have that experience. That's why
Yeah.
I want to know.
You're in the right place.
What did they do? How did they survive that and thrive that?
You're in the right place, and the first thing they did was get their mindset right. They got their mindset right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why we just spent time talking about that. Just jumping forward, and Susan, I'm calling you next. Tactic number 2 that we're going to cover next week is to remargin your business. So we're going to talk about expense management next week and what they do there. Susan, go ahead.
Hey, Jordas, I just wanted to thank you and let you know I have to drop off because I have to head into the office. So, and I'm going to make an effort to be there in the class each week when you have it as well.
Perfect. I appreciate you. See you here.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else want to jump in?
For me, it's
Any-
just more a matter of changing habits and maybe some of the other people that are changing careers as well. Of just the whole dynamic of it, that you've really got to be your own fire, in other businesses, you have your boss or your team leader, you're this or that. And here we do have you guys and y'all motivate us. But at the end of the day, if we don't work, it doesn't necessarily, like, you're not going to come after us or whatever. So just that transition.
Mary,
Transition. Yeah.
I'm laughing. I actually say that all the time. It's like, this is not an industry where your boss is going to slap you on the wrist and write you up because you didn't come to a training or to the office. And that's one of the problems that I personally see, and I hate it, that this industry, you tend to get into real estate for freedom, flexibility, be your own boss. Those are kind of the key things that come up first. And no one really ultimately says, oh, the experience of selling a home, like, that's not really what people were talking about at first. You build up to that, that love for that. And yet it just, when you wake up that first day, I remember when I left my corporate job, I was a general manager for Best Buy. The first day I'm officially done, no boss. It's like, all right. And I was working from home at that time. So I'm like, it's lazy. I wasn't even changing. I was just going into that third bedroom in the house. All right, let's go build this amazing real estate website that's going to get me all these leads. That's literally what I was doing. Let's work on all this great marketing that's going to just drive. Oh, you know what? I saw somebody ordered a shirt, and with their branding, I'm going to go order like 10 of those shirts and wear them everywhere. I was doing all the cool stuff that I thought I should be doing to get business. I was not lead generating. I was not doing the job of a real estate agent, and no one was there to tell me doing it wrong. There was no accountability. You lose that accountability, to Mary's point, when you get in this industry. So you are your accountability, your family, your coach. If you don't have a coach, we have that going for you. So if those that don't know this, we officially are launched for Marco Island coaching with Catherine and myself. So that's something that's available to us here. And then Naples, I'll be ready to launch probably by next week, and it'll be Gwen and myself as coaches for Naples. And that's why part of the shift here is what we've been doing as far as leadership goes. Coaching and helping people is my passion. I want to be here talking like this and having these conversations with you, not in the office writing checks or making sure that the checks are being done. Someone else can take care of that, so I can have these conversations with you guys. That's where I want to be. So accountability, Mary, thank you for bringing that up. You're in the right place, because this is now so look around, look at the names on here. Mary, if we don't see you next week, we're going to call you out.
Y'all better come find me at my house, right?
Yeah. Patricia, make sure you have everyone's names that are here, and next week you're going to take attendance and let me know who didn't show up, and we'll find you. Anyone else? Any last thoughts before I let you go? I want to respect your time. I'm already at 2:30 right now.
Jordas, so that we can prepare next week, I'm going to order the book. Would you say read the first 2 chapters, read chapter by chapter, read ahead? What's the best way to do this?
You know what? If you're a fast reader, I want to tell you, read ahead. Don't wait for me.
Okay.
No, I would say read ahead if you have the ability to, and yet we're still going to have that discussion every single week. I want to be very clear. The tactic number 1 is the mindset piece. So between now and next week, what are you going to do to make sure that your mindset's right? What are the things that maybe you didn't share right now that are limiting beliefs that you have? Because we got to get rid of those first. We got to get rid of those. And I'm going to tell you this. If you got negative people in your world, it's time to get rid of them too. I jokingly say this, and yet it's somewhat true. I don't want to say I lost friends when I got into real estate. Yet I chose not to be around certain individuals who were not adding the right energy to my life. And vice versa, if they weren't doing that for me, it's unlikely I'm gonna bring much value to them either. So really reflect around that. Who are the people you're hanging out with? And are they feeding the right things to you and to your mindset? Are you working at home? Are you in your pajamas all day? Or are you dressing up to win and coming into the office and engaging with top performers? I can't force you to come to this. I can't force you to go to classes. And yet the agents that do it are the ones that are going to survive and thrive because they're around the right conversations every day. So soapbox done. We did the intro today. Get ready for next week. We're going to go into expense management, and we'll likely cover number 3 as well next week. So yeah, I probably plan on shift tactic 1 or 2 and shift tactic 3 next week. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia, don't jump off yet. Let me know if you can unmute, Patricia.
I sent you an email
Just now?
just before the meeting.
Okay.
It had to do with failures.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at it.
Okay. I will.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm not late to whatever I gotta be at next.